Welcome to the Confident Content Creators Podcast, where we'll talk about how to live unapologetically and show up as your most authentic self online. Hey, it's Lindsay, confident content coach, boy mom, and corporate 9-to-5er. I'm an extroverted introvert who loves to talk about all things social media and how to create confident content that converts your followers into your ideal client. On this podcast, we're going to get clarity around your content strategy and hear real life stories from boss babes just like you who are showing up confidently online. I know how hectic and busy entrepreneurial life can be, so let's dive right in. Okay, hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode. This is the first video episode of Confident Content Creators, and I have with me a very special guest. Let's first introduce ourselves, and then we're going to dive into the first ever interview on Confident Content Creators. So first off, I'm Lindsay. You guys all should know me by now. I am the host of Confident Content Creators and this kid's mom. Tell them who you are.
I'm Henry.
This is Henry. How old are you, Henry?
I'm 9.
9.
Uh-huh.
So we have something really unique that we're going to be doing today. Like I said, this is going to be the first interview on Confident Content Creators, but I am not interviewing Henry.
I'm interviewing my mom.
He's going to interview me. Okay, so let's just dive right into this. Henry is going to ask me a series of questions. He's got all of his questions here on a note card, and we'll see how he does.
Okay, so what is your biggest dream?
My biggest dream? I think my biggest dream is probably to travel, to take my family and travel all over the place. Because why not?
What do you do when you're sad or scared?
I like to take baths when I'm sad, or I like to read. If I'm scared of something, like if it's a big business decision or something happens with my family, I always go to my mom.
If you could move anywhere, where would you move?
Lots of places. I would love to live somewhere where it rains a lot. So either
like
Hawaii, Seattle.
Like in a rainforest?
I guess a rainforest. I also would love to live in Boston.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see myself sitting on this exact couch with you. Really seriously though, like in 5 years, I see myself working from home, maybe traveling with my family, hanging out, probably doing basically the exact same thing.
Okay. What's your favorite childhood memory?
My favorite childhood memory is probably puddle jumping, like literally jumping in puddles in my rain boots.
What makes you annoyed?
When people don't listen to me, that's what makes me annoyed.
Okay. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done?
I peed my pants in kindergarten. In circle time. So we were all in a circle around the teacher. She was reading us a book. I really, really had to go, but this teacher was really scary. And I don't remember if it was kindergarten or first, but old enough to be like very well potty trained. And I had to pee really, really, really bad. And I was scared to ask the teacher. So instead of asking the teacher and going to the bathroom, I held it to the point where I couldn't hold it anymore. And then I peed my pants. And then that was not the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part is we got up and we went back to our desks and I was still scared. And she saw the pee spot on the carpet. And she said, "Who did this?" And I wouldn't fess up to it, even though my pants were wet. And she made us all go back and sit exactly where we were sitting before. And so then I had to admit that I peed my pants and I had to go to the principal's office and my mom had to come pick me up and I cried a lot.
What's your favorite store and why?
I have 2 favorite stores, actually. They're both online. So one is Amazon because it's quick, it's easy. I can find literally anything I want on there. And then the other one is Bellamy because I love everything that they sell. And I would probably buy it all if I could.
Okay. Do you have a hobby?
I have lots of hobbies. I do lots of things. I think social media is one of my hobbies. I like to look for like things that are trending. I like to know what the new updates are. I like to do a lot of research when it comes to social media, but I also love to read. I like to be creative, like paint or color or do things like that. I like to be crafty, like use glue guns and stuff and just make crafty stuff.
Okay. Why did you start a podcast?
I started a podcast because I thought it sounded fun. I started doing guest interviews on podcasts and I really liked it. And after the first one or two episodes that came out where I was a guest on the podcast, I was like, this is really fun and I really like this. And I like the idea behind a podcast. I really think that the topic and the subject that I picked for confident content creators is something that is really needed. And I think that it would be a really fun and unique way to reach content creators in a new and different way.
Mm-hmm. Which social media platform is your favorite?
Instagram. And because I like how diverse it is. You can do videos, you can do static pictures, you can do carousels, and then the stories. I like how diverse the types of content are, but also I really like how there's such a high engagement rate. Within stories, DMing, comments, things like that, there's a lot of engagement there. So there's a lot of opportunity to be very, very creative, and it's easy. Instagram is like the easiest platform to use. And so that's why I like it.
Okay. If you could give your 9-year-old self advice, what would you say?
If I could give my 9-year-old advice or my 9-year-old self or
Yeah,
like
your
give
9-year-old
my
self.
9-year-old. Well, this is my 9-year-old. But if I were to give myself advice,
Yeah.
when I was 9 years old, I would probably say, don't worry about what other people are going to say and be as confident as you can. Be confident in what you have to say and do, and don't be scared of what other people are going to say.
Which is exactly true. Who is the favorite child?
Who is the favorite child? Well, you are my favorite oldest child. And Freddie is my favorite youngest child.
Out of all ages.
Well, you are my favorite Henry, and he's my favorite Freddie.
Out of your favorite everything.
No comment. Next question.
Why did you start coaching?
I started coaching because I was asked to. I had somebody tell me that I would be a really good life coach, and I thought she was crazy at first. And then somebody else said the very same thing, that I would make a good life coach. And again, I thought they were crazy. And so after much reflection, I decided to try it. I did a trial run and ended up really, really liking it. And I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to help people learn and grow and be of service. So I always thought I was going to go in the medical field, but it turns out that coaching is that same level of service and helping that I think I always needed.
Where did the name for your events and podcasts come from?
Good question. So for those who don't know, I've done multiple events. I did an in-person women's event, and I did some workshops. I did a virtual summit, and they were all named Confidently You. And the reason why I named that is because the whole premise around these events was to unlock your confidence and gain clarity around your life and vision. And so it was Confidently You. And then throughout the course of my coaching career, I was a confidence and clarity coach. Now I am a confident content coach. And so the name of this podcast, Confident Content Creators, was to empower female entrepreneurs to be confident in the content that they're creating in whatever business that they have.
The last question for you, Mom.
Okay.
Why does Voldemort prefer Instagram over Facebook?
Why?
Because he has no friends, only followers.
Because he has no friends, only followers. Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this podcast. This was a very special interview. Thank you for coming on. Henry asked me if he could be on my podcast, and I thought, what better way than to interview your mom for the podcast? Can I ask you questions?
Yes.
Okay. Question time for you.
Okay.
Who's your favorite parent?
Dad. Yeah.
If you could give our listeners one piece of advice on how to be confident, what would you say?
Never think of negative things and always be happy about yourself.
What is your favorite hobby? What do you love to do?
Sleeping.
Sleeping is not a hobby.
Okay, fine.
What is something that you like to do?
Harry Potter Club.
Anything to do with Harry Potter. Got it. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
Time I was at school, it was this year, and there was a patch of ice that I didn't know about, and I was talking to my friend, and I just slipped on the ice.
You didn't know this? Did you fall on your butt?
Yeah, and it didn't really hurt. I just slid.
All right, what is your favorite store and why?
Quilted Bear.
Why?
Because they have a Harry Potter section.
They have a whole entire Harry Potter section. All right.
And that's where I got my wand from.
What is your favorite memory?
I remember one time, I think I was like 3, and we went to a Monster Jam show. And at the end, I remember one of the drivers coming up the stairs, and he signed my hat.
I remember that. Do you remember who the driver was?
He was the driver of Megalodon.
And he stopped inside your hat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you do when you are scared?
I normally go and I try not to think about it. And sometimes I'll go up in my room and listen to my book.
What do you do when you're sad?
Pretty much do the same thing.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So first off, you're 9. So how old would you be in 5 years?
14.
Where do you see yourself when you're 14 years old?
Feeding a pet snake.
Okay, last question. What do you want to be when you're older?
If they make a new Harry Potter thing, I want to be the actor.
You want to be an actor in a Harry Potter movie?
Yeah.
Okay, but if they don't make any more Harry Potter movies, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you're older?
A teacher.
A teacher. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for watching this episode. If you have any more questions for myself or Henry, please feel free to go over to @ConfidentContentCreators on Instagram and leave us a comment. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. If this episode boosted your confidence or helped you find clarity in any way, then will you do me a huge favor and leave a review wherever you're listening? You can also share this episode on your social media and tag @ConfidentContentCreators. Also, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.